let's talk about some science. Can a desert turn into a forest? Now, I looked this up because the other day I watched a debate over on Dylan Burns TV, a lovely channel that we will soon overtake in popularity because I believe in kindness and education and building up a leftist coalition to change society. Um, um, I'm not going to lie, the first time I heard of two men kissing, I was disgusted when I was 15. It's not completely unreasonable that a kid felt this way. Well, yeah, but not like a 9-year-old kid, right? Like, when you were 9, did you have any conception of what gender norms were, right? Like, some kids do, right? Like, but at 9, the idea of human beings kissing each other is, like, gross. Like, even men and women kissing is, like, cooties. Ew, gross. Um, and, like, the fact at 15 that you found it gross and repulsive or whatever just kind of shows that you internalized a lot of society's homophobia. And that's not a reflection on you. It's just how society raises people to think in general. Um, any rational child would be gay instantly. True. Um, yes, Taco Cat. This is CTV's North Africa nuclear program idea. Yes. Okay. Good night, Ashley. I love you very much. Everyone say good night to Ashley and thank her for creating the internet, okay? Because Ashley helped create the internet and is incredibly based and cool, everybody. So say thank you, Ashley. So, yes, I was watching a Dylan Burns TV debate the other day. Um, and I saw a gentleman by the name of CTV, a critically thinking veteran, who made his way over into my chat a few times in the past. Um, and I was baffled because when the subject of climate change came about, he had an idea that at surface value I immediately dismissed because it is a seemingly insane idea. I will hedge my bets. Um, but but his idea was essentially that we should ring the Sahara Desert with nuclear power plants that also act as desalination stations to essentially turn the Sahara Desert into a massive tropical rainforest. Now, that seems like an absolutely insane idea, and so I kind of dismissed it out of hand. In fact, I laughed so hard I started crying. But apparently, this is an actual thing that some people believe is doable. So, I looked into it a bit, and we're gonna dive into this. Okay, can a desert turn into a forest? Let's take a look at some of this science. Um, yes, exactly. Only Facts Live. We're gonna dive into this idea. Um, While it is technically possible to turn a desert into a forest, it is a process that would probably take more than several decades, which I think right off the bat kind of tells us that this isn't an idea that will solve our immediate crisis, right? Serious Twitch, I don't remember if I said thank you for the 100 bits, but seriously, thank you. It's very nice of you. Um, so let's dive into this. The process of turning deserts into forests is called desert greening, and it's something that's been going on for several years now. Even the Sahara Desert is slowly being turned green. Currently, desert greening is being performed on more than 30 million square kilometers of land, and it can help humanity with plenty of issues such as energy, food, and water crises. There are many different methods used during the process of desert greening. Managed intensive rotational grazing is one of them, and it means that livestock is being moved around specific areas of pastures to allow other areas to rest. There are several landscaping methods used for during desert greening, and their goal is the reduction of erosion, evaporation, and the consolidation of topsoil. They also reduce the temperature and the appearance of sandstorms. Turning a desert into a forest sounds like a dream project. If possible, it would solve many of the world's environmental problems and make life easier for future generations. While it is technically possible to turn a desert into a forest, it is a process that would probably take more than several decades. So basically, we're talking like over the course of like a couple human lifetimes, maybe. You know? The process of turning deserts into forest is called desert greening, and it is something that's been going on for several years now. Even the Sahara Desert is slowly being turned green. This process is the reclamation of deserts by humans to use them for farming, forestry, and other ecological reasons such as biodiversity. Helps with the environment and directly lowers the damage done by humans to the environment by turning deserts into forest, at least partially. We can help slow down the process of climate change, among many other things. Yeah, terraforming Earth, basically. Yeah. Desert greening does not only refer to the process of turning hot, sandy deserts green, it also deals with colder, semi-arid deserts. By doing this, mankind can reclaim many of its natural water systems and support life. Currently, desert greening is being performed at on more than 30 million square kilometers of land, and it can help humanity with plenty of problems, energy, food. Okay, they just took that sentence from other places. Only Facts Live says, I've been to the Sahara Desert. I know Algerian Air Force pilots there, as well as American Air Force pilots there. Let me tell you one thing, it's not possible. F-16 fighter jets can barely land with the heat causing solar flares and rising heat that affects lift. Anyways, long story, that dude is nuts, and I hate how he uses his veteran past as some sort of authority on subject matter. I don't know. Lol, thanks for bringing it up. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, I don't want to dismiss this idea entirely, right? Because, like, hey, if we have a process that we can use on Earth to terraform things to make them more habitable for human life, I think that's probably a really good thing, right? And also, hey, it could be useful for terraforming other planets in the future. I think this is maybe a decent idea. Let's learn a little bit more about it. But I also think having a project to green the entire Sahara Desert by lining the desert with nuclear power plants that desalinate water and pump it into the desert is one of the wildest plans that I've ever heard, and I'm not sure how feasible it is. Okay, so let's continue. Because I am going to guess. Let's see, size of Sahara Desert. So 3.55 million square miles versus. What was this? There we go. Okay, it's being performed on. Oh, square kilometers. Wait. Okay. Square km to square miles. There we go. Square kilometer. Okay. 30. Wait. 30,000. 30 million. Okay. So we're talking about about 11 million square miles in total that we're doing in the world. So it would take the vast majority of our ability to do this over the course of like 6 centuries or six decades. There we go, at least. There's a crazier plan. It involved nuking a channel into North Africa with several dozen small nukes, so the Mediterranean Sea could drain into North Africa. That's pretty crazy. I mean, would it be a good idea to drastically change an environment in that way, especially because there could be lots of unintended side effects we don't know about? Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of it, right? Like, we don't know what the side effects would be. If it did reverse climate change, maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe that would be like the trade-off would be acceptable, but yeah. There is an irony in that the heat of the Sahara Desert helps heat up air over Western Africa, Atlantic Ocean water that causes hurricanes reaching America. Literal sand particles from the Sahara Desert have ended up in America. Lol, but yeah. Then we nuke a hurricane. I guess I'm a pessimistic materials engineer, work on petroleum pipelines, so heat and desert is my thing, but I'm always willing to learn new things. Um, all right. Desert greening is highly dependent on the availability of water. If plenty of water is available, it's possible to turn deserts green. There are numerous ways we are able to get water to aid us during this process. Mostly, though, rainwater harvesting, desalination, saving, and reuse, and by using seawater directly. Each one of these methods has its pros and cons, but almost all of them are used regularly. There are also other methods, such as use of solar stills that generate fresh water. This method is used by the Sahara Forest Project, which is a project to provide water, food, and energy to desert regions. Let's see. Oh, okay. There are many different methods used during this process. Managed intensive rotational grazing is one of them. Means livestock is being moved around to more specific areas of the pastures, which allows other areas to rest. Holistic management is another important method used in this process. It's a way of managing resources that is similar to rotational grazing. Still, it focuses on recognizing the differences between ecosystems more thoroughly. Okay. What are call-ins for here? Yeah, usually if somebody wants to call in and talk about like a topic, I would like it if people had specific topics they wanted to talk about when they call in, because that way there's like a good cutoff point, you know. Several landscaping methods used during desert greening. Goal is reducing erosion, evaporation. Permaculture is also used, boils down to harvesting rainwater to be able to grow communities, various plant species. Okay. Experts that work on desert greening also try to regenerate polluted, salty, or degenerated soils, which can help with new plants grow. I need more information than this. Let's see. Desert greening. Okay. More or less a function of water availability. Sufficient water is at hand for irrigation. Any hot, cold, sand, or rocky desert can be greened. Water can be made available through saving. Okay. Or direct use of salt-loving plants. Different paths for unique features. Conserving water is a cheap solution. Okay. Desalination is very secure as long as the primary energy for the operation of the desalination plant is available. Okay. Direct use of seawater for seawater agriculture is the most potent, only limited by the need for pumping up the water from sea level. Okay. Water distribution. Once the fresh or sea salt water has been attained in centralized systems, it must be distributed. This can be done using dug canals or, in some instances, aqueducts, which are the least attractive option since they allow much water to be evaporated. Troughs, such as the Kaida project, earthenware piping, or even underground systems. Depending on the method of distribution of the water, it can be provided over on different methods to the plants. A costly solution used only on pipes is drip irrigation. Okay. Desert greening by the Helmand and Argondab Valley Authority irrigation scheme in Afghanistan significantly reduced the water flowing from the Helmand River into Lake Hamon, and this, together with the drought, is cited as the key reason for severe damage to the ecology of Lake Hamon, much of which has degenerated since 1999 from a wetland of international importance into salt flats. Let's see. Okay, so the main component of desert greening is the planting of trees. Trees store water, inhibit soil erosion. Would it even be a good place for nuclear power? Yeah, if you're building it along like the sea, along the sea, you can have various cooling mechanisms. And with the technology we have now, it's basically just a matter of supplying the plants with nuclear fuel, and we can do that pretty easily. So basically, if you plant enough trees, they can cause water to fall by reducing temperature. If the planted area is large enough, all of the effects beneficial for desert greening, which trees offer, can also be provided by buildings. Shading by buildings is an example for a passive effect. The pumping of water from aquifers, an example of active effect. Okay. Soil of the Thar Desert in India remains dry for much of the year and is prone to soil erosion. High-speed winds blow soil from the desert, depositing some on neighboring fertile lands and causing shifting sand dunes within the desert, which buries fences and blocks roads and railway tracks. Permanent solution to this problem of shifting dunes can be provided by planting appropriate species on the dunes to prevent further shifting, planting windbreaks and shelter belts. These solutions could also provide protection from hot or cold, desiccating winds, and the invasion of sand. The Rajasthan Canal system in India is the major irrigation scheme of the Thar Desert and is intended to reclaim it, checking the spreading of the desert to fertile areas. Interesting. I do not see anything that makes this technically unfeasible, but I do see that like building the infrastructure necessary to turn a desert into a tropical rainforest would essentially be on par with like just redoing all of the world's like power systems. Before World War I, there was going to be an attempt to greenify the desert with the sun's energy via Stirling engines. What is a Stirling engine? A Stirling engine is a heat engine that is operated by cyclic compression and expansion of air or other gas at different temperatures, resulting in a net conversion of heat energy to mechanical work. More specifically, the Stirling engine is a closed-cycle regenerative heat machine with a permanent gaseous working fluid. Closed cycle, okay. This context. Let's see. I am not sure what this is or does. I would need to read a lot more about this, and I'm not a mechanically minded person. It's a pipe dream. I mean, it's quite literally a pipe dream to greenify the entire Sahara Desert, right? Um, I guess I'm of the opinion that while what CTV said in the debate is technically possible, there are probably more cost-effective solutions that include things like building gravity batteries, and using renewable energy across Africa. CTV is a conservative. He's a veteran. Used to work on a nuclear submarine, etc. And he's a conservative. Yeah, that guy. Um, critically thinking veteran. Yeah, I just think that there are far more cost-effective solutions to this problem than building nuclear reactors specifically to greenify the desert and calling it a day. I don't think creating a new rainforest is going to solve global warming problems. Like, at best, it would be a decent solution as, like, a stopgap, but without, like, greater overhauls to society, it's not going to reverse not gonna reverse everything. Frequently drinking on stream as well. Yeah, I can't judge. I've been drunk on stream before. I don't drink a lot though, and I'm a huge lightweight. Um, also, Arch Zeno, you're in good company then. Most of like seems like most of my community, like maybe half of it, is made up of veterans. So yeah. Oh, does he drink during the debates? I'm not happy about it. I'm sorry. A lot, a lot of the veterans in my community aren't happy about it either, comrade. You're in good company. All of the world's the nomads that live there do not use power. Are we supposed to just cancel them out? Amazes me people can sit back and come up with these ideas of the better of humankind as long as it fits with their version of it. CTV sounds like one of those people. Yeah. Um but like also the part of the issue with like global warming is that like we do need the world to kind of agree on like power solutions, right? Like we need to be able to export like green energy that is good, or like, and whether that is nuclear or whether it is solar or wind or hydroelectric or whatever. We need to be able to do it, otherwise our planet will become unlivable, you know. So like I'm in favor of doing diplomatic efforts to get people on the same page, you know. It's the great crisis of our times and our children's times and our children's children's times. The Sahara is lawless. It wouldn't be worth it from a geostrategic sense too. Yeah, you know, and like I'm not opposed to like small scale operations to like greenify parts of the Sahara. That sounds like a fine thing to do. But I think as like a long-term strategy specific to climate change, it's absolutely ludicrous. Thunderfoot did a good debunk of gravity batteries. The only good gravity battery is pumping water uphill into a large natural basin. Um, I mean, I think that's a far more. It's a marginally more efficient battery, but like again, if we're talking about like batteries that can operate that we can build in mass, I think gravity batteries are fine. Like they would be far better than like mining the few deposits of lithium we have for like Tesla batteries, and not all places can use water as gravity batteries. So like, yeah, I mean, until we get the salt batteries that are being worked on, I think like, yeah, the gravity batteries are probably some of the best we can do. Uh, and we need to do better because we need to do something because we need to build these things in a relatively short frame of time. Um, because again, we don't have a whole lot of time to stop global warming. or reverse it, or you know, keep this planet habitable. Clear technologies and their potential to overcome the challenges to deployment. Um, the authors find significant interest in and steady progress towards commercial nuclear power, reading study on sub-Saharan nuclear, and most countries are at least a decade away from breaking ground on their first project. Um, oh yeah, Arch Zeno. We did I had a nuclear power expert come on the show to talk about kind of where we're at with nuclear energy. Definitely put my mind at ease about the risks of nuclear energy. Um, but like again, this is something where I think mass production of nuclear facilities is something we need to embrace as part of like a Green New Deal. Along with mass production of like wind turbines and solar panels, and we need to embrace all these things. Let's use the Green New Deal as a way to, kind of the way that FDR used the old New Deal. Let's give people jobs. Let's get these industries running, and then we can export them around the world. Um, uh, Holski, I'm super uncomfortable like with Thunderfoot. You're not gonna get me to watch a Thunderfoot video. I remember Gamergate. I remember him making like 100 million videos about Anita Sarkeesian. Um, national position, nuclear safety, and management are top three concerns as of 2019. Um, 3 Mile and Chernobyl had very obvious reasoning behind why they failed. True. In America, people are so adverse to green energy because people are like, OMG, coal and oil. Yeah, but not that many people work in coal and oil, and I think that we can give them excellent benefits packages when we pack them off. Like I'm sorry if your grandpappy mined coal and your pappy mined coal and you mined coal, but like we don't need that much coal anymore. And like also just here's a retirement package. Please retire and go nurse your black lung. Um like like there's no reason we can't pay these people to go live better lives. Um and like oil stuff is just it's not the future, and we've known that for a very long time. We should stop giving subsidies to oil. We should start subsidizing green energy. And I honestly, one of the things that I think we should do, we should mass produce, even if it's at a loss, conversion kits for existing gas vehicles. Let's convert the vehicles of our nation into electric ones. We could do that. We could do that. We could build the infrastructure for that into our cities. And we need to do it because, again, our planet's dying. Or you can like, I don't know. We need to do something. Whether it is building like a massive negative emission tower and pulling physical carbon out of the air. We need to do large scale projects. Well, that's exactly it, Archzino. Like, if we're not going to be able to get Americans off of cars, we need to be able to convert existing cars into electric ones. Um, I don't know. A lot of my stepfamily work on oil pipelines. They're upset they're out of jobs for a field that was obviously on shaky grounds. Yeah. There was a cool coding and network security training program for former coal miners. Yeah, I hate that as a solution though. Like fuck that. Give them like free college credit. Like allow them to go back to college if they want to be trained into a different field, right? Like why just coding and network security training? Like that's not they're coal miners. They're not interested in that. Let them pursue their interests. Um Wasn't Gamergate a huge failure for the left? No. Gamergate was a huge, huge, huge kerfuffle that just radical. I mean, in the sense that it radicalized a lot of gamers to the right, Gamergate was a huge failure for the left. But like in terms of like what how it came about, like Gamergate was like people getting extremely angry over nothing. And I know because I covered it from like the beginning. Gamergate was a hate movement dedicated around being angry at a woman for making a game that people didn't think was enough of a game, and then harassing her because her boyfriend went on 4chan and posted, or her former boyfriend went on 4chan and posted like a long forum post about how she was a bitch who cheated on him. Um, and yeah, and then it spiraled out from there to be a movement about ethics in video game journalism, um, because she had apparently like had a relationship with a video game journalist at one point. It was really stupid. It was really really stupid. Um, and it wasn't initially like a political thing. It only became political because right wing hacks politicized it. And because 4chan is full of conservative trolls and neo Nazis. Yeah, I'm shit at coding, absolutely shit. Anita was a grifter though. How was Anita Sarkeesian a grifter? I would love for you to explain that to me, because here's the arc of Anita Sarkeesian, right? Her arc was essentially, hey, I'm I am a scholar who does surface level feminist reviews of media. I've been doing this for a long time. I did it to the entirety of like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series. And hey, I'm going to take a look at feminism in video games. Hey, here's a small Kickstarter campaign that you can fund if you would be interested in watching these videos. And you know what happened? Alt-right trolls from 4chan got a hold of that and started posting pornography of her on her Wikipedia page and harassing her and threatening to kill her. And as a result, because it had to do with video games, video game media picked it up, more people found out about the Kickstarter, and more people donated to it. And so she got a shit ton of money for this video series that was never intended to be a giant thing. How is that her grifting? Yeah, I'm not going to listen to a PhD scientist on global warming, because if they're a massive piece of shit and a transphobe and a bigot and somebody who clearly has a partisan take on things, yeah, I don't really want to listen to what they say. Also, why would I care when this person already agrees with my global warming takes? Why would I need to go to a transphobe and a bigot who already agrees with me on a certain issue to get confirmation of what they think about the issue, when there are literally like 99% of the other scientists in the world would say the similar things? I can put Holsky, please, please, if you're going to make a claim about how Anita Sarkeesian is a grifter, please provide evidence of this, please. She's a lady who did a Kickstarter in 2012 because she was going to do a basic feminist reading of some video games, and people lost their shit about it. What was grifty about doing that? Please tell me what was grifty about being a feminist critic of video games. What was grifty about that? What was her? How was she going outside of the norms of this? I didn't know Thunderfoot was a transphobe. Yeah, he's a massive piece of shit, and he has been for literally almost a decade. Wait, are we on 2016 again? We've gone back in time to 2012, my dude. Like, you're gonna get me really heated on this topic, because I know people who were personally harassed out of their homes. I know people who had to go into hiding. I know people who had to change their fucking names because of these people. So like when you say that Anita Sarkeesian is a grifter, no, she's not. And I can say that as somebody who's in the industry and who works with these people. She created a GoFundMe for an anti-bullying gamers. Wait, for an anti. Wait. She created a GoFundMe for and anti-bullying gamers that claimed they could end bullying online by gaming in COD and shaming people who are mean. Can you provide a link to that GoFundMe, please? Oh, no, first you have to prove your initial claim that she's a grifter. Oh, look. Look. Thunderfoot, I added a video to a YouTube playlist. The Transgender, Normalizing Mental Illness. Thunderfoot is a reactionary who uses the fact that he got a PhD to justify all of his opinions. Here, you can watch the video. Oh, it's unavailable. I wonder why. Let's take a look at Thunderfoot. Let's look. Transgender. Interesting. I wonder what happened to the transgender video. Let's see. Let's see. Here, we can look at SJ Wiki. Thunderfoot created a video of a person of non-binary gender presentation in which Thunderfoot mocks that person, implying that there is something wrong with someone who is gender non-conforming. Let's take a look at the citations. '27. Man, it's pretty weird that this PhD scientist has so many fucking videos about Anita Sarkeesian. Anyway. We can look at these videos. Look. Wowee, wowee. Anti-feminism. School shootings. Twitter suspension. He was suspended from Twitter for making abusive tweets about Anita Sarkeesian. Oh, apparently Anita Sarkeesian's a powerful person who has influence over Twitter. Yeah, it's a coordinated attack. Rape apologia. Awesome. Thunderfoot argues that even in some places, society does teach people not to rape. Rape still happens. He also used the "but lock your doors" argument, thus implying bodily autonomy is akin to property. He also argues that rape is innate in some people. Let's see. Yeah. Thunderfoot was talking about Kim Kardashian controversy and Shitgate for Anna Kasparian as someone with a different chromosomal structure. Super cool. More equating of genital gender and chromosomes with gender from Thunderfoot. Let's take a look at 32.
You know what's funny?
I don't know. I don't want to watch these videos. But all I'm saying, dude, is that if you think this guy is like not a reactionary, you haven't been watching enough of his content. Um, oh, cool. In his debate with Ray Comfort, Thunderfoot takes a utilitarian position on the Holocaust. Thunderfoot accepts that the Holocaust couldn't have occurred without science, but because science has done so many other great things, those deaths may have been necessary for society. Because ditching science would kill more people. Cool. Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Good arguments. Yep. Anyway, Thunderfoot's a giant piece of shit. That's my baseline point. And also, like, yeah, all YouTubers are not reactionary. There are plenty of YouTubers who are not reactionary. Honestly, like, this is really weird coming from someone in my own community, you know? Um, yeah, I mean, dude made some anti-transgender videos that have been since taken down, uh, probably because they violated terms of service. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you're going to this person for commentary on Anita Sarkeesian, but I would suggest maybe not doing that. Arch Zeno, thank you very much for the subscription. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Yeah, Holsky, I think you're agreeing with an extremely yikesy argument, my dude. I just out of curiosity, why are you so attached to Thunderfoot, right? Chad is my new friend. Well, thank you. I agree. My community is good. I don't like his trans videos. I just like his global warming and flat earth videos. He doesn't understand trans people because all he sees is chromosomes. Yeah, but that's the thing, Holsky. He's really, like, he's good at what he got his PhD in. Just because he has a PhD doesn't make him an expert in every other field, which is also why you should find it extremely yikesy that he made, like, 500 videos about Anita Sarkeesian. He obsessed over her for years after she stopped being at all relevant in the general conversation. Um, but, like, yeah, like, that's... Yeah, I don't have to agree with Thunderfoot to know about global warming either. So what was your argument that, like, why I should listen to what Thunderfoot says? There are other scientists out there who can tell me the same thing who aren't, like, bigots or reactionaries. I, I, I don't know. I'm baffled by like this staunch support of someone who is like genuinely awful, but you know that's okay. Who's this?
This video was
What? I mean, yeah, global warming's a problem, guys. I agree. Why is it so hard to thumbs up a global warming video and things down and thumbs down a Gamergate video? Why is it so hard to find another scientist who agrees with the global warming take, though? Like Thunderfoot doesn't make good content. Thunderfoot is like again a reactionary with many awful opinions about everything else. Why not find a scientist with better videos? Like, hey, look. No, you didn't just say that he made a good video. You also said that he had many good points about Anita Sarkeesian, who's a grifter, and she's not a grifter. She made a Kickstarter one time to make some videos about how feminism operates in video games, and then people tried to like murder her for it. So that it's a weird take to have. And then you said she made a GoFundMe one time that the goal of which was anti-bullying in video games, which I don't think is a bad goal. And you said that she grifted from that. And I asked you for evidence and you didn't provide it. And I don't know. I find this very bizarre. This is a weird interaction. Yeah, I didn't say the video isn't good. I'm sure he does good stuff about what he knows about, but he does a lot of content about shit he knows nothing about. Why are you not getting this? I don't understand. What's the disconnect? Like, good video on geoengineering? I don't know. Like if a scientist was like, yes, global warming is real, and also, the Holocaust was a necessary evil. What like yeah, he might have really good takes on global warming, but maybe we should go with the scientist who's not like a genocide apologist. You know, like I don't know. This seems very weird. Like yeah, he might be right about this, but he also dedicated like 5 years of his life to harassing a woman on the internet. Like, I don't know. This is very bizarre to me. Again, you didn't provide evidence of her being a grifter, though. Also, I don't think Jordan Peterson is a grifter. I think Jordan Peterson, like, genuinely believes all the shit he says. I I don't get this. I don't get this conversation. I find it very weird that you're like, I don't know, kind of doing like apologia for like harassing women on the internet.
This video was sponsored by Skillshare.
These videos are so long, though. I say, after having watched a super long video.
By the end.
Oh, this one's not super long. I'll watch this one. I'm not gonna ban you. You're just being, like, weirdly belligerent about this one issue, and I don't get it. Well, Holsky, you have to message links to mods. yeah. Hell yeah for anime community made up of mostly women and non-binary people. I don't think men understand how often women just get harassed by people for no reason on the internet. I genuinely don't think people understand. I'm glad you do understand, Archizeno. I think you are, Venom Jesus. I have it pulled up, actually. Yeah, Kobatroid, I talked about men's issues with Prince Harpseal earlier on stream. It was a really wholesome conversation. Yeah. People like completely obsess over having like words that they can use to demean women, especially trans women. People really get attached to those slurs. Biden 2020, absolutely, comrade. Radical leftist Joe Biden. Yeah, honestly, the amount of dicks I get in my DMs are absolutely wild. I've kind of been desensitized to it. Aw, Archizino, I'd love to chat with you sometime as well. If you have a topic, feel free to hop on anytime this stream. Well, I was waiting for a link to come through, but I guess no link is forthcoming. Yep, the cursed dick pics. True. Also, y'all are really bad at taking pictures of your dicks. Just saying. Whoa, for a brief moment I forgot about trans fetishization. Thank you for reminding me, Jack. Yeah. Anyway, fuck transphobes, even if they're scientists. On that note, let's learn about geoengineering. Yay!
End of the 21st century, humanity is becoming desperate. Decades of heat waves and droughts have led to unusually poor harvests, while the warming oceans yield fewer fish each year. In the tropical zones, millions suffer from famines, and resource wars have made millions more flee to the north. As things quickly get worse, in an act of desperation, the world's governments decide to enact an emergency plan. It's far from certain that a grim scenario like this...
Yeah, this is, Kurzgesagt. I speak German good.
...will play out, but the failure of world leaders to effectively address climate change makes it far from impossible. So, in the near future, it might become necessary to try something radical to slow down rapid climate change. Geoengineering. Interventions so massive in scale that they might undo centuries of human behavior, or make everything much worse. What is geoengineering? Is it really an option? And what if it goes wrong? Geoengineering methods vary from fantastic ones like constructing giant light sails in space to seeding clouds with salt, or wilder ones like fertilizing the oceans with iron to speed up the growth of trillions of algae cells. In this video, we'll focus on an intervention we could see during our lifetimes: stratospheric aerosol injection. a clunky term that means spraying stuff very high up in the atmosphere to keep the sun away. Keeping the sun away. CO2 doesn't heat up the planet on its own. Almost all of the energy on Earth comes from the sun in the form of electromagnetic radiation. About 71% of this energy is absorbed by the Earth's surface and atmosphere. This absorbed energy is emitted again as infrared radiation. And CO2 is able to trap this infrared radiation and keep it in the atmosphere for a while. You can compare this effect with snuggling under a blanket in the morning. Even in a really cold...
I really like this this idea. Bed is good. I like this is relatable content.
room, your body emits infrared radiation, and the air between your body and the blanket traps it and creates a warm and comfy feeling. So one way to cool down the planet would be to prevent energy from getting trapped under our planet blanket, which is already happening naturally. About 29% of the solar radiation hitting Earth is reflected back to space by...
This is Kurzgesagt. Kurzgesagt. There you go. It has 13.4 million subscribers. This is the first time I'm encountering it. It has very adorable graphics.
bright surfaces like ice, deserts, snow, or clouds. More reflection, less energy, less warming. We can look at nature for inspiration. Specifically, the 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption, the second largest volcanic eruption of the 20th century. Aside from massive devastation and almost 900 dead, scientists noted its strong impact on the global climate. The explosion ejected millions of tons of particles and gas as high as the stratosphere, which hung around there for a while. The stuff that's interesting for geoengineering is sulfur dioxide, a nasty-smelling and invisible gas. High in the atmosphere, it produced a haze of sulfuric acid droplets that mixed with water and created giant veils. These veils reduced the sunlight reaching Earth's surface by roughly 1%. Global average temperatures dropped by 0.5 degrees Celsius. It took 3 years until this cooling effect had stopped. Humans could imitate this process by injecting sulfur particles directly into the stratosphere. According to some scientists, this might be surprisingly easy to do, and we don't even need a lot of new technology for it. According to one study, it also might be pretty cheap compared with the costs of rapid climate change. A small fleet of specialized aircraft could ascend once a year and distribute aerosols along the equator from where they would be spread around the world. Projections assume that injecting between 5 and 8 megatons of material per year would reflect enough sunlight to slow down or even stop global warming, giving us precious time to transition away from fossil fuels. Unfortunately, there might be a few unhappy side effects. There are a number of potential issues with aerosol injections. Rainfall patterns could change, which could negatively affect agriculture and cause famine. Billions of people could be affected in the worst case. Also, after the 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption, the acid water veils not only cooled down the surface, they also heated up the stratosphere. As it turns out, acid is bad for the ozone layer, and the ozone hole over Antarctica was the largest it has ever been. Injecting sulfur particles over decades could have a similar effect. Scientists have already suggested using a combination of different minerals that might have much less harmful effects on the ozone layer, but more research and experiments need to be done to make sure this could work. But even if we don't damage the ozone layer, there are other risks. Politicians and industry might use the cooling effect as an excuse to delay the switch to a carbon-neutral economy. Even if geoengineering slows down global warming, humanity is still adding extra CO2 to the atmosphere. More CO2 in the air means that the oceans absorb more CO2, which makes them more acidic. This is already beginning to be deadly to huge ecosystems like coral reefs, and the longer this continues, the more severe the effects will be. But it gets worse. Once we start pumping particles into the atmosphere on a massive scale, we might be forced to do so for a long time, or we could risk a termination shock. What that means is that if humanity continues to enrich the atmosphere with CO2, but at the same time prevents the planet from heating up by blocking solar radiation, we're sitting on a time bomb. Once we stop geoengineering, the natural cycle will take over again and Earth would heat up. But after a few decades of keeping the planet artificially cold while still releasing massive amounts of CO2, it would heat up much, much quicker. An increase in temperature that would take 50 years today could happen in just 10 years. Such a temperature shock in such a short time would disrupt every major system on Earth so much that it would be impossible to adapt in time. The worst-case scenario could be dramatic famines and the rapid destruction of ecosystems. Humanity might survive, but the survivors would inhabit an unfamiliar and hostile world. The best-case scenario is that once the world has finally fully understood the existential danger of rapid climate change, geoengineering can buy us a crucial decade or two. Time to transition our economies and maybe even pull CO2 out of the atmosphere. Maybe with technologies that we'll discuss in a future video. Conclusion. Geoengineering is a scary concept. It's not a solution to climate change, and it might even be a welcome excuse for the fossil fuel industry to delay the end of the fossil fuel age. Over the last few decades, geoengineering has been so controversial that it's stopped many scientists from doing the experiments necessary to understand it better. But blankly opposing geoengineering is short-sighted. The sad truth is, we are already running a geoengineering experiment. We're testing how fast the world changes if we add about 40 billion tons of CO2 each year. This experiment is about to get really exciting. Hopefully, we'll never have to use geoengineering. But if we need to in the future, we better have done the science. We better be prepared. Or a panicking humanity might accidentally press the self-destruct button. You probably won't have to do any of that yourself, but who knows? Better brush up on your science knowledge just in case. And our friends at Brilliant can help you with that. Brilliant is a problem...
Alright, well, I mean, this is a nice idea to buy us a couple decades, I think. But yeah, the long-term effects are pretty bad. The channel does offer sources. Well, gosh golly gee willikers, look at this. We got sources. What the fuck? I'm used to PragerU not giving any sources. This is awesome. Rad. Here, I'll put this in the put the link to the video in chat. You can check out the sources or the channel as much as you'd like.